Hey there, Smoke Master D coming at you with another. Nah, this isn't a barbecue buyer's guide. Yeah, this is just me talking about my decision for an offset smoker. You see, I have my pit boss over here. I am making a couple racks of ribs for a church picnic party, and yeah, I'm looking forward to those. I've got my heavy D stick burning heat diffuser in there, so I've got a couple sticks of oak, yeah, to provide some extra smoke, and I think the ribs are going to turn out really well. But yeah, I've had my eye on getting a larger offset smoker for a while, and this is the story of how I made the decision of which one I did. And if you've watched me before, you may know that I do some shows that are comparative buying guides. The comparative buying is, the barbecue buyer's guide. And part of the reason why I've done those shows is so that I could make a good choice for a smoker, right? I kind of set it in my sights to get a nicer offset smoker, and that's what I've done. And I just wanted to walk you through my process for that. One of the things I want you to know is that my decision is based on my own likes, what I wanted, and your decision could be different just because of that. It also has to do with my budget. I kind of set my sights on the $2,500 to $3,000 price range right when I started off, and maybe that's not your price range. And if your price range is a lot higher, like $4,000 to $5,000, maybe you're going to be looking at mill scale or Gator Pit of Texas has a lot of great stuff too. Or if your price range is a lot lower, maybe you're going to be looking at old country barbecue pits or something, similar to that, Lifetime, depending on where you are. So I'm just going to talk about how I decided. And another thing is that I've never really been drawn much to reverse flow smokers. So I'm not really going to talk about them at all. I know that they work great. I know a lot of people like them a lot, but for some reason I just never felt that attracted to them. So but the first smoker that I really was attracted to was the Horizon Marshall RD20, and I encountered it on Meathead Goldwyn's website, AmazingRibs.com, and I read his review of it. And it just seemed sort of magical to me, especially the sliding convection plate. It has a platinum review on that website. You can still go look it up. Horizon still sells it, And one of my first episodes for Barbecue Buyer's Guide was a look at the Horizon RD20 and similar competitors, including the Loaded Wichita and the Luling 20-inch Loaded from Original Barbecue Pits. The thing that really stood out to me and set it apart from its competitors is that sliding convection plate. And what that allows you to do is to create some two-zone cooking with just sliding it. So while I was making the episode, I got a chance to talk to Roger Davidson, and that was a really interesting experience. If you ever call Horizon and you hear somebody who calls himself Roger to begin with and has like a drawl, you know that it's him. He talked about owning the RD20, how he just pulls that sliding plate back, the heat shoots up, he sears his steaks in the main chamber, Also, he has the temperature gauges set at the same places on the grill, and if one's higher than the other, he just adjusts that plate, and all of a sudden he has even cooking, throughout the chamber. So, I really admire the RD20 Horizon Marshall smoker. The thing about it is that it is a style of smoker where the exhaust is on the top of the barrel, and you got the plate down here, and the smoke comes down and goes through, that plate with the holes. Roger Davidson actually invented that and missed a chance to patent it because he started selling it before he put in the patent, and that's against patent laws. So, if you get one from Lavalock or Yoder or anybody else really, just say a little thanks to Roger Davidson in your mind. But he invented it, and the Horizon Marshall RD20, I think, is better than its competitors just because of that sliding plate. Everybody else, or nobody else, has one that slides like that. But yeah, so it's a bottom to top cooking offset smoker. And so that came into my sights early on. I was in love with it. I thought I was going to get that one for sure. But there were others, and I kept going. I kept making shows. And another one that I found that I really liked was the Lone Star Grillz 20-inch series. And they have a 36 and a 42-inch that they sell. And it didn't make any sense to me not to get the 42 and get the 36 because bigger's better. In grills, though, it really is a little bit better just overall. The more space you have in the chamber, the more heat, the better the heat distribution across. It's just really how it works. These 1,000-gallon pits, the 1,000-gallon pits are usually, 5 degrees across that huge whole space. The Lone Star Grillz 20-inch models, they have a lot of features that make them really amazing. And I talk about that in one of my episodes, and I'm probably link it up above. But the main thing is about it is it has a vent to the top of the chamber. And whereas the RD20 has the plate that pushes the air down and it comes up through the holes, the Lone Star Grillz 20-inch is a top-down smoker, and then it vents the heat and smoke to the top of the chamber, and it sort of radiates down as that hot air and smoke loses heat. So, it sort of creates a raining effect. And then there's a water basin below that, it further acts and sort of brings that moisture up sort of in probably a rotation. So imagine, I don't know that anybody's actually napped that out. And then it has a stack or exhaust at the very bottom of the chamber, right? So heat going down. So it's a top-down cooking smoker with the exact exhaust on the bottom. So we have bottom to top, exhaust on the top, and top to bottom, exhaust on the bottom. And then there is the third smoker on the list. The other thing to point out about the Lone Star Grillz is that its boxiness, which originally I really hated. I thought it was ugly as sin. That boxiness kind of turned me off to it early on. But what it actually does is that it opens up more space in the smoker, right? You have the curve of a barrel, and you got the grate here, and anything over here near that curve doesn't have a lot of space, and it's only in the middle. But when you have that boxiness, it really sort of widens up that space so you can have more in that area. So for space efficiency, the 20-inch Lone Star Grillz are really amazing for that too. And that's not to say that I prefer boxiness to round. I think there is a lot to be said about round, as far as, you know, how air likes to move and to travel. It's not the end all and be all. You know, I saw a video from Sandy Moberg, who for a while I thought that he had a box, firebox, but he doesn't. It's actually round inside. Crazy. But yeah, that's just his insulation. But yeah, he likes everything to be rounded to give the air the flow that it needs. Okay? And so my third choice, the third one on my list, was the Workhorse Pits 1969. And yeah, it had the smoke collector at the mid grate there. So it represented something wholly different. And these examples that I'm giving you are the ones that I think are the best of their kind and in this price range. But yeah, the Workhorse Pits 1969 has, you know, a longer than average firebox, and it also has a chamber, you know, and then that smoke collector there, and a fold-up stack. Now, fold-up stacks are cool in that they are going to save some space on the shipping, so you're probably going to you might get a better shipping cost. Workhorse Pits, they have their own sort of economy shipping service, which in truth is also really cool, because it's going to save you some money and get your smoker there really safely. And the other thing about it is it's good for a cover. Now, Workhorse Pits, they sell their own covers, but even if you get a different cover, you know, that huge stack is just killer on covers, right? Three things that are really impressive with the Workhorse Pits are one, the thickness of their metal. So it's nearly a 3/8 inch, and then on the 75, a full 3/8 inch. And then after that, there is the linseed oil finish that is going to save a whole lot of money. The other thing about the linseed oil finish is it's something that you can really easily touch up when your smoker is hot. You can bring it back to new, back to looking like new, just with a little application of linseed oil. And then lastly, computational fluid dynamics. So what is that? And really, it's a way that they can make their smoker have even heat distribution across the chamber. And really, there are other smokers that do that. Other smokers, even of this style, that do this. I'm sure, you know, if you went and got some of them and did some tests, that you would find some others. You know, maybe the one that Moberg puts out, who I would have loved to have considered Moberg's smaller backyard pit. Unfortunately, it's much more expensive, right? More expensive than the Workhorse Pits. So I didn't consider it. But you might find that they have pretty good even distribution and a smoke collector as well, right? But the thing about it is that they're able to make a computer model of their smokers and really figure out that they are going to have the right draw, the right heat distribution, you know, even before they build them, which is probably a really great thing when they're making their primitive pits. So the owner of Workhorse Pits, a guy named JD, he also owns Primitive Pits, which has been at it much longer. They make commercial smokers, and each one that they make for a different customer is going to be just a little bit different, and they can model out, you know, is this going to work with whatever changes they make. Now, the Workhorse Pits, they make pretty much all the same. There are a few options, but, you know, as far as the insides go, besides that secondary grate, they're you know, it's pretty much all the same. So, yeah, those were the three smokers that I really considered on my list. And And when I was thinking about it, you know, maybe it was because I got to the other two first, which maybe it's not, but I never really ever moved the Lone Star Grillz up to the first position on my list for very long. Like I said, for its price point, it is the best of its kind. And when I say its kind, I mean top down smoking style, you know. But yeah, I never really put it at the top. I always liked the rounded barrels. And that's not to say that there aren't some really great things about boxiness. You know, that square firebox allows you to put a grate of coals up higher and also do some really nice grilling on the firebox, which is something that when you have a rounded firebox you really can't do. You can't take one out and put it up because, you know, I mean, you'd have to build in some sort of mechanism inside to hold the slides for that rack, which, you know, is not quite as good. So I never really considered the Lone Star Grillz, and you know, I was really back and forth between the Workhorse Pits and the Horizon Smoker, the RD20. There were a few things. One, I really liked the linseed oil finish, and I thought to myself, you know, this RD20, part of its price is this powder coating that it has on it. And I called Horizon and I asked, would you be willing to sell me the RD20 for a discount without the powder coating? And I would go and I would put on the linseed oil finish myself, right? And I called and I asked, but when I called, it wasn't Roger Davidson who picked up. It was the other guy. And he said that he'd have to ask Roger. It's one of those things like, it would, you know, their computer system wouldn't take that kind of thing, so they'd have to make some sort of special something for it. I could have fought on and said, hey, you know, I could have called back. I could have called more frequently if I really wanted to do it that way. I just kind of decided, you know, that I would go with the Workhorse Pits instead. And there was an RD20 that I was looking at to buy that I found used through Facebook Marketplace. Either that or it was one of the stick burner selling groups. And it had been around for several years. And I looked at it and I saw the finish on it. And it didn't look bad, but the finish it didn't have any sort of luster anymore. It looked used, right? Guy wanted $1,500 for it, which was, you know, $500 less than the $2,000 that the price then was. Unfortunately, I think he was up in Minnesota or something like that, which from North Carolina, it was just too difficult for me to figure out the logistics of getting it to me, you know, and so I decided to pass on that. But the appearance of it really stood in my mind, especially when I was thinking about this linseed oil finish that the Workhorse Pits have. So that really cemented it for me that I was going to go for the Workhorse Pits 1969. And, you know, I didn't have enough money then, right, for it. Still saving money. The government was super nice to throw me some money that I didn't actually need. So that helped with my savings efforts, but as an educator, you know, we don't have a whole lot of extra disposable income. And my wife and I were both educators. So I had to heavily consider that and just resign myself for saving for the smoker. And, you know, then steel prices were rising. I saw on the Workhorse Pits website that they would keep the prices the same until the end of July. And then the end of July came, and then it was going to be later, you know, like August, and then, of course, the prices rose, right? Horizon raised their prices. For all I know, Lone Star Grillz has too. I haven't been quite as dialed into to whether that's happened yet or not. Throughout that time, there was one other option that I was considering, a dark horse in the race, so to say, and that is the Bellfab backyard smoker. And if you've been watching my shows, the one that I'm referencing here is the biggest budget offset smokers. They're made by a one-man company, Craig Bell. He owns and operates and builds these smokers, the Bellfab smokers. And his backyard grill is a bottom flow smoker. It's got a plate. I believe he welds the plate in down there. And he has an exhaust that is center grate. And, he has wagon wheels on one side and on the other a sort of T-bar. And as far as it goes, it's a spectacularly good smoker for an exceptionally low price. He was charging $1,000 for it. Then he said that he didn't like raising his prices. For all I know, he might still be charging that for it now. He makes it out of 3/8-inch steel. So, very thick smoker for, like I said, an amazing price. And he says that it takes him 2 days to knock one out. So, the thing about it is that I had spent all this time learning about all these other features in smokers, like the smoke collector, right? And the smoke collector makes it so that you don't need a bottom flow plate. And one of the reasons why I really liked the Workhorse Pits was this idea that it wasn't a bottom to top smoker. It wasn't a top to bottom smoker. That this thing was a side to side smoker. And I'm not entirely sure how true that is, I don't know for certain. I haven't modeled it out. It would certainly be interesting to look at the model that JD has at Workhorse Pits to see if that's really what it looks like. But the thing about it is the whole concept of offset smoking, right? And offset smoking was the idea that you would have the fire over here and the exhaust over here, and it would go side to side, cook your meat through convection. Even though the RD20, is more traditional. And I guess if you took the plate out, it would be more traditional than that. To me, the Workhorse Pits, the smoke collector, even though it came later, is closer to the original vision of what an offset smoker was supposed to be or should be. That to me it feels like it is more true to what an offset smoker should be. And that is what I wanted, So here I was. I wanted to save money, but I wanted these features, and I called up Craig Bell, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, I really like this Workhorse Pits smoker. Can you make me something like that? And, Craig is very much of the bottom flow smoker school of thought, where he lives out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, or near there. It's definitely bottom flow country, very close to Yoder. So I kept talking to Craig, and eventually I got him to say yes. Yeah. And I asked for something that was as near close to the Workhorse Pits 1975 as possible. And the thing about it is even when I was looking at the 1969, and I thought about, a smoker that I wanted to be using for the rest of my life, what came to my thought was, at some point I'm probably going to want something big enough to cook a really large meal, I can get the secondary shelf, but, sometime I may want more. So if I'm gonna invest, I should just go with it up front. So I had kind of gone to the 75 already and thought, that's the one that I need to get. Well, the thing about Craig Bell is that he doesn't use any pipe smaller than a width of 24 inches or 2 feet. And the 1975 is that exact width. So in a sense, it kind of worked out perfectly. Yeah, so he is making me something very close to the Workhorse Pits 1975. Hopefully I can get you a picture. It hasn't arrived yet, but by the time I put this video out, maybe it will have. It is not exactly like one. I gave him quite a few notes. Some he took, some he didn't. And I will explain my whole process of buying it and the similarities and differences in another video. But yeah, that was my journey. I'm really looking forward to cooking with my new smoker. Very excited, and hopefully at some point, I can show you some of those cooks. I haven't done a whole lot of cooks on this channel, partly because I think that there are other people out there who are just a lot better at it than I am. But maybe you'd like to see me cook anyway. And of course, I'll keep making you buyer's guides and exploring the barbecue universe, which I love doing. Right now, I'm pulling some stuff together on Santa Maria grills and Argentine grills as well, because they're very closely related. And yeah, thank y'all for watching, and go get your smoke on, y'all.